let's talk about salary negotiation because
Yeah.
it's that time of year that is coming up. And by the way, that time of year is every time of year where people are
Is it?
going into salary negotiations. Middle of the year, everyone's sort of like, thinking, I'm going in, I need some more money.
Is this because often the pay rise cycle is around mid-year?
Yeah, May, June, a lot of companies are doing, April, May, people are starting to think about that. And a lot of people go into salary negotiations entirely unprepared and should not be surprised that they get very little or don't get anywhere near what they want. I think I've worked really hard. I would like to make more money, please.
Right. And how does that sort of conversation play out? The unprepared conversation.
Well, there's lots
so
of
people can see it in themselves.
obviously there's a million scenarios, right? So I don't want to try and broadly generalize, but if let's say your manager, your owner, your whatever sets a meeting for 3 weeks from now on a Thursday, annual review.
Yep.
This is how a lot of them will go. Okay, so how do you think you're going? I think I'm going okay. I think I work really hard. I come in early, I leave late. I work really hard. And okay, well, great. I think you're doing great too. Anything else you want to talk about? No, everything's good. Okay. Look, we're going to. It's been a difficult year. We're doing 2% salary increases this year, so we can give you your 2% salary increase. We'd like to do more next year, but you're doing really well.
Thanks.
You're doing really well. We want you to keep going. Okay. Any issues? Come and talk to me anytime.
If that was me, if
See you
I
in
was the
12 months.
employee, I'd be like, see you later, here's my
Right.
resignation, I'm going.
So now that's pretty obviously at the outer edge of ludicrousness, but that is not uncommon.
Yeah.
The next level up is someone who's a manager will say, how do you think you've gone? So I think I've done well. This is my position description. I've done this, I've done that. And they go, yeah, and I think I can make some leaps. And they go, yeah, well, we really need you to step up. So what do you mean? Yeah, we just need you to step up. What does that mean?
Yep.
Doesn't mean anything,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, we just need you to step up in the business, like show a bit more leadership. What does that mean, right? So when it comes to these conversations, these fluffy, I hate the expression, motherhood statements, these sort of fluffy statements are worthless from both ends. If you're leading people, they're only good to suppress people if that's what you're trying to do.
Yes.
But you're going in totally unprepared. And if you're going in for the salary increase, you're embarrassing yourself because you really need to prepare.
Okay, so the absolute best practice, well planned and executed, working towards that salary increase in the performance review process, what does that look like?
Okay, I'm going from the employee point of view, looking for the salary increase. Your attempt to get a salary increase, if you're aiming to do it this year and you haven't prepared, you got a problem.
Yep.
Because you need to do 6 months minimum preparation to get a proper
Sounds like something
jump.
An employer would say.
It's a really good suppression tactic. No, you could start now. If you've got 6 weeks, 4 weeks, you start making a list.
Mm-hmm.
You get your position description down. If you've got one, we'll move that to one side. You start making a list of every single responsibility that you have. This shouldn't take too long. I look after this. This relationship, this product. I'm an expert in this technology.
Yep.
I use this software. I mentor these people. I manage these suppliers. Whatever it is that you're doing, you make a list of every single responsibility that's either in your PD or not in your PD. You make a long list.
Yep.
So then you know this is the value I bring to the business. If you have the commercial capability, you start to put next to them what you think actually, not the number, but what you think is a profit or revenue driving activity. So I manage these 3 customer relationships. They call me, they contact me. If they've got an issue, I deal with it. That keeps them happy. That keeps them spending money with us. Having that list ready is really valuable.
Mm-hmm.
So when you sit in front of your, whoever it might be, manager or owner, you can say, I made a list of everything that I do at this organization. Now, some of them, they're going to be like, that means nothing to me. I don't care if you do that or don't do it. But there's things on there that are going to be valuable, right? You might not even know that they're valuable, but they are. Mm-hmm. You might be the one person who knows how to use the CRM or the database, who's the expert, the go-to, the champion. So list it all down. Then if you've got a PD, a good one, make a list of everything you've done against your expectations for the year. If they've been set correctly, most likely they haven't, but if they have, and then write down 3 or 4 KPIs that don't exist that you've achieved as well. Mm-hmm. So 3 KPIs might become 7 based on 4 other things you've done because you achieved the first 3 in the first 3 months. If you don't have a good PD or any PD at all, which most companies have crap PDs, then you create one.
Yep.
And you start to say, this is what I've done for the year, this X, Y, Z.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got a crappy PD, in your next review, you need to get a better one. Okay. How long have we been going? Have we still got time left?
5-10 minutes, I reckon.
So if you're lacking confidence, you should be asking those around you if there's any perception. Just ask them, a couple of people you trust. Tell me, how do you think, I'm perceived in this business? Think I'm perceived as trustworthy, as competent? You might be surprised. People are like, oh my God, people go to you for, blah, blah, blah. So you might underestimate your value or you might overestimate your value, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you get to the conversation, you're prepared. Then you're going to be nervous, probably. No one likes these conversations. But if you say, okay, manager person, I made a list of, how do you think you've gone? And you say, well, this is what I've got. I've made a list of everything that I've done this year. These are the things that are in my KPIs. These are the things that weren't. These are the things that I added. This is what I've achieved. These are relationships I work out. Here, just have a look at this. I'm really interested in making progress within the organisation. I want to stay here for the next 10 years, and I'd like you to back me to continue to grow in these areas with a $10,000, $15,000, whatever $1,000 pay increase.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it's worthwhile? Like, that's a lot of information for potentially a manager or an owner who's doing 20 of those in that week.
Yep.
Is it worthwhile putting that to them in writing?
Depends on the relationship, yes.
Sometimes I know when people put things in writing, it can be seen as more of a aggressive kind of.
Depends on the relationship.
Yeah, because to me, I would like to see that in writing before a meeting so that no one's going to make a decision about a pay rise in a room.
No, but the only thing is if you send it to them in advance, the only risk is that they can be chipping away at it before they get there. In some way, there's a shock and awe tactic.
But you want to sort of
because you don't even need them to make a decision in the moment in the conversation. You probably won't get them, yes, here's a $10,000 or $15,000 pay increase, right?
Yeah.
What you're doing in the review, particularly if they're not bringing any of the energy and drive, you're creating the energy and drive and you're creating a compelling argument.
Yeah.
Now, you put yourself forward, you stumble, you fumble, you're nervous, you're like, because you're not doing this every day. But you be forthright and you say, listen, I'm not here to put pressure. I want to be here for the next 10 years. I like this company. I like working with everybody, but I'm doing a lot of things here that I would like to be remunerated for. You might ask for 10. And they might say, we can't give you 10. There's 3 possible scenarios that are acceptable. Option 1, you put forward what you want, promotion, salary increase, and they give it to you, everything you want, happy days. Obviously, that's a tick. 2, they give you half of what you want. 5, 6 months to a promotion, a pathway, right? Happy days, so long as they execute. 3rd, least best but acceptable is no, we can't do that for you today, but here are the clear steps that we're going to agree upon to get you where you want to get to. Yep. Okay, any of those 3 outcomes are excellent outcomes provided they follow through.
Yeah.
If it is no, we don't think this, no, we can't do that, or it's this, that, or for whatever reason, this is probably not the place for you. And then you have to start making some decisions about being smart about moving somewhere else.
We've talked about this before with, making that decision. But I would also say if I know you might think you've been evidence-based, but I would probably suggest having an open mind in hearing the feedback too, because like you said, you could be overconfident.
Almost certainly.
Like you're saying straight away.
Who will be.
You're saying straight away if you don't get some sort of agreement or whatever. But really, if someone says, no, wouldn't you want to sort of drill down and say, I'd really like to know why?
That's my point, is that point 3 is you don't get anything. You don't get a salary increase. You don't get a promotion. But they say, okay, if you want to get there, these are the things you need to do, and this is how we're going to support you.
So then you know that they're backing you to
do it. So you've overestimated your position, which happens. People walk into that buzzsaw. It's very confronting.
Yes.
To think that because you're working 3 hours longer than the person next to you, they might be 3 times more productive than you are. You just don't know it. Right. So that's why it's worth understanding the perception of you within the business before you go in with the big move.
Yep.
Now, not everyone's out there looking for big pay increases, but in the case that you are, this is the best way to do it. It's really interesting
that you're talking about it. It shouldn't be this once a year, last minute thing.
You should be preparing now for next year.
Like every day.
Yep.
You're just always looking at what am I here for? How am I demonstrating my value? And how am I improving?
What am I learning? What am I contributing to? Having said that, if this was how we all lived,
Yeah.
all of us would be in perfect shape. All of us would be in perfect health, right? Right? This is not how we broadly live.
I've seen advice online that I think is really clever too, which is having like a little folder whenever you have a win and
It's a great
saving
idea.
things.
How many people are doing that, you reckon?
Well,
0.01%. Here's the facts.
Yeah.
It'll be 6 weeks before your review that you'll start thinking about it. You'll be like, oh, another year of 3%, right? No, this year you're going to blitz a list of what you've done, of what you can remember. Now, if you're more prepared for next year, you put yourself in the hunt for real advancement. The people who are getting real advancement, aside from just the super talented or the nepos, are those who are preparing a year ahead. They're like, and you might think, oh, they're social climbers or this. No, they're prepared.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, I'm going to make this move because it gets me here. Or I'm going to go and do this course because it opens up this door for me. And if you think you're just going to turn up and an employer is just going to give you a river of money because you're a good person, you're on another planet. It doesn't have to be confrontational. It's not. In fact, it's worse if it's confrontational.
Yeah.
So it's about preparing,
Yeah.
putting forward a compelling, reasonable case saying, listen, I want to be here. I'm willing to commit long term, but I need you to commit to me.
Yeah.
This is what I'm doing. This is where I want to develop. Please back me with the only ways I can, with money and growth opportunities.
Yep.
Right. My final point on salary negotiation. Listen, if you want to make a play to threaten leaving, you can only do that once. And a bit like your going to court is going to torch any relationship with a client, with a potential client, or going into that sort of heavy.
Yeah.
If you go in that style, I've got another job. Unless you are ready to walk out that day, do not make that threat.
It's so hard to walk back.
I think it's a made up stat, but people quote it all the time about, people who take a counter offer at their current employer that they leave within 6 or 9 or 12 months. I think recruiters use that as a tactic. I've never actually seen that sourced, but right.
When they don't want them to take the counter
That's
offer.
right. They're like, 6 months, 90% of people who take counter offer leave within 12 months. You know? And it's like, maybe it's true. I don't know, but I've never seen it sourced. So let's say.
Who's recording that data? So no, I think it's made up too.
37% of all statistics are made up on the spot. 28% of people know this, right? So that's good. Do not threaten. Threatening gets you nowhere. If you have a legitimate another offer and you're going to your employer, that's fine. Listen, I've got this other offer. It's a bit different. It's more money. It's this, it's closer to home, whatever it is. That's fine. Have the adult conversation. Don't be going into a salary review. Well, that's it. I'm going if you don't give me. Because guess what? You might get the deal today, but that's the end of your deals. There's no more deals for you. You can't be pulling that stunt
I just
and
takes the
thinking long
goodwill
term.
out of the relationship.
Yeah, no one's boosting you for later on. You're seen as a mercenary. So handle that correctly. So prepare as best you can from as far out as you can. If you have a good position description, marry up your performance against your KPIs. If you don't have a good position description, start writing one and request one in this and write your own. Ask a couple of people that you trust about your perception within the business. Am I overestimating my hand here?
Yeah.
Go into the meeting with forthright, goodwill. You want to work there. Tell them that. Ask clearly for what you want. Don't squib it. Prepare and make your argument. And finally, all the 3 scenarios, you get everything you want, you get half of what you want, or you get none of what you want but with a plan. And finally, don't go for the break glass, threaten to leave, because you can only do that once. And truthfully, it's sometimes hard to walk back.
It's very good advice.
That's salary negotiation.
I'm going to have that conversation with my boss.
Oh, I'm exhausted after saying that. With your boss?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, she's pretty tough, mate.
She gives me everything I want.
She does.